You ever stop and think about what keeps all your favorite apps and websites just working all the time, 24/7? Well, it's not magic, that's for sure. It's this kind of invisible shield, this really complex strategy called IT resilience. And today, we're going to dive into this unseen force that basically powers our entire digital world.
But to really get why this is so important, let's just flip the question around. What happens when the digital world stops? I mean, we've all been there, right? Staring at that loading screen, that spinning wheel of doom, feeling totally cut off. Let's take a look at just how fast things can fall apart. And it almost always starts with something that seems tiny, totally insignificant. Picture this. Deep inside some massive data center, one single server overheats and just dies. I mean, it's just one machine out of thousands. No big deal, right?
Wrong. So wrong. See that one little server? It was handling something absolutely critical. And without it, a chain reaction starts, a cascade failure. All the other systems that depended on it start to crash, one after another. It's like watching digital dominoes fall, and poof, before you know it, the entire network just goes dark.
And this is what that looks like on our end. Suddenly, it's not just some technical glitch in a data center nobody's ever heard of. No, it's millions of us, you and me, unable to work, unable to connect with people, unable to get to services we rely on. And that is why resilience isn't just some corporate buzzword. It's an absolute necessity.
Okay, so how do the best companies stop this from happening? Well, they practice what you might call the art of bouncing back. Look, it's not about trying to prevent every single little failure. That's literally impossible. It's all about designing systems that can take a hit, absorb the shock, and just keep on ticking. And this whole philosophy has a name: business resilience. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like an immune system for a company. It's this built-in ability to get knocked down by something totally unexpected, a server failure, a power outage, even a natural disaster, and not just survive, but actually adapt and keep on functioning.
Now, this resilience thing is built on two key pillars. First, you've got business continuity planning, or BCP. That's the big picture strategy. It asks, how does the entire business keep its doors open? We're talking people, processes, the whole shebang. And then, as a really critical piece of that, you have disaster recovery planning, or DRP. This is the nitty-gritty technical playbook. It's focused on one thing. How do we get the computers and servers back online? So think of it like this. BCP is keeping the ship afloat, and DRP is fixing the engine.
All right, but where do you even start? Well, you can't plan a rescue if you don't know what's most important to save first. I mean, when disaster hits, there's zero time to think. You've got to have your priorities figured out way, way before any alarm bells start ringing. This quote really nails it. Planning for a disaster is just like deciding what to grab in a fire. You can't save everything, so what do you go for? You instinctively grab the family photos, the passports, the irreplaceable stuff. You don't worry about the toaster. IT resilience works the exact same way. You can't save it all at once, so you absolutely have to know what's irreplaceable. So how do companies actually do this? How do they turn that gut feeling into a concrete plan? Well, they do something called a business impact analysis, or a BIA. It sounds fancy, but it's really just a super methodical process of looking at every single part of the organization and asking one simple, brutal question. If this breaks, how bad is it going to hurt? And here's what that looks like in the real world. You basically create a triage list. So take the payment processing system. If that goes down, the company literally stops making money. The impact is instant, it's massive. So yeah, that's critical. Now, what about the internal HR wiki? It's important, for sure, but can the company survive without it for a day or two? Absolutely. So its priority is low. This whole process of sorting things out is the absolute foundation of any smart recovery plan. Okay, so once you know what you need to save, the next big question is how fast you need to save it. Because in disaster recovery, time is everything. Every single second a system is down, it's costing money and damaging the company's reputation. To figure this out, companies rely on two super important metrics to set their goals. First up is the Recovery Point Objective, or RPO. This one is all about data. Think about it like this. Your computer crashes right now. The RPO is basically asking, how much work did you just lose since the last time you hit save? So if a company has an RPO of 15 minutes, they're saying, we're okay with losing up to 15 minutes of data. For a bank handling transactions, that RPO has to be practically zero. For a simple blog, maybe a few hours is fine. And trust me, the closer you get that RPO to zero, the crazier the cost gets. It's this constant balancing act between risk and budget.
The other side of the coin is the recovery time objective, or RTO. This one's all about time. Let's go back to that computer crash. The RTO is how long it takes you to reboot, open up your apps, and actually get back to work. So if a service has an RTO of 1 hour, that means it absolutely positively has to be back online within 60 minutes after it goes down. And just like the RPO, cutting that time down, even by a few minutes, can cost a fortune. It's all about finding that sweet spot between what's possible and what's practical.
So let's just put them side by side to make it super clear. RPO is about data loss. It asks, how much data can we stand to lose? It's looking backward in time from the moment the disaster hit. RTO, on the other hand, is about downtime. It asks, how much time can we afford to be offline? It's looking forward into the future. You absolutely have to have a clear answer for both to build a plan that actually works.
Okay, so we've got our priorities straight. We know how fast we need to move. But how do you actually pull it off? How do you meet those goals? Well, that's where the disaster recovery playbook comes in. We're talking about the specific real-world strategies and tools that make all this resilient stuff happen.
Let's start with one of the most basic but powerful strategies out there, the 3-2-1 backup rule. It's so simple, but it's genius. Here's how it works. You keep 3 copies of your data. You store those copies on at least 2 different types of media, like, say, on a server in your office and in the cloud. And here's the kicker. You keep one of those copies completely off-site, somewhere physically separate. Why? So a fire, a flood, or a theft at your main location can't wipe out every single copy.
And that off-site copy often lives at a special recovery site. There are a few different kinds. You've got a hot site, which is basically an exact mirror of your main data center, running and ready to take over instantly. A warm site is a step down. It has some of the gear, but it'll take some time to get it all up and running. And then you have a cold site, which is pretty much just an empty building with power and internet. The one you choose, it all comes back to that RTO we talked about. If you need to recover in seconds, you're going to pay top dollar for a hot site. If you can afford to wait a day, a cold site might do the trick.
But listen, here's maybe the most important rule in all of this. You can have the world's best plan, the tightest recovery times, the fanciest hot site, but if you've never actually tested it, you don't have a plan. You have a theory, and that's it. Running regular drills, doing simulations, that's the only way you can be sure your playbook is actually going to work when the pressure is on.
So the next time your favorite app just works or a website loads instantly, take a second to think about all the incredible planning and preparation happening behind the scenes to make that possible. It's all thanks to these invisible systems of resilience that protect our digital lives. And that kind of makes you wonder, right? What other invisible systems are out there quietly keeping our world from falling apart?